Hello and welcome to another episode of 2 Minutes with Tim here on Heavenward Thinking. Today we're continuing on in 1 John chapter 3, verses 19 through 22. This is how we know that we belong to the truth and how we set our hearts at rest in His presence. If our hearts condemn us, we know that God is greater than our hearts and He knows everything. Dear friends, if our hearts do not condemn us, we have confidence before God and we receive from Him anything we ask because we keep His commands and do what pleases Him. Again, we've been talking about, for many weeks here on 2 Minutes with Tim, about loving people, shining the light of Jesus Christ in a dark world. And that means being different, doing things differently, living the way Jesus lived, trying to do something that is hard in life by being different. And we see this here, that we have a conscience, we have a heart. We know that God is greater than our hearts and He knows everything. We can't put on a show without God knowing that we're actually just putting on a show. We have to actually love people with actions and in truth. That's what we talked about last week. It carries on into these verses. God knows everything. He knows if our heart is in the right place. And so we need to act upon His word and apply that in our daily lives by living according to the truth and not just being fake. Loving people requires going beyond fakeness and just being nice or just having a smile on your face or saying words of flattery to people. Instead, it requires hard daily intentionality where we actually love people because of the love God has shown us. And we've already seen that here in this chapter. God's love is so great for us. We need to share that same love with other people. Then we see here this promise here. If our hearts do not condemn us, we have confidence before God and receive from Him anything we ask because we keep His commands and do what pleases Him. Again, this is an amazing statement. Having confidence before God, we know that Jesus already made a way for us to have a restored relationship with the Father. When we're living daily by loving God and loving people, that's when we have this confidence before God, not in ourselves, but in what God has done and what He's doing in our lives. And then we see that second part of the verse, we receive from Him anything we ask because we keep His commands and do what pleases Him. When we are praying for the Lord to work in a mighty way in our lives, whatever it is, whatever type of request it is, whether it be for ourselves or for someone else, we see here in this verse something that we need to make sure we are doing is not just asking God for things and then living our lives however we want. We need to ask God for things out of a right heart, a right place in life. When we keep His commands, when we please the Lord by loving Him, keeping His word, and loving others, as we see here in this section, then we're going to receive whatever we ask because we keep His commands and do what pleases Him. Now, that doesn't mean we get a genie wish list or anything like that. That means that when we are in a right place before God, requesting the right things in God's will and His name, then that's when we're going to see God work in amazing ways. When we're carefully living according to His word, when we're loving God and loving others. It goes hand in hand. We need to be making sure each day that we're striving to love God and love others. As always, join us next time for another episode of 2 Minutes with Tim here on Heavenward Thinking.